Welcome to the Bitcoin Aggregated podcast. Today we're just going into, there's a lot of news about the Stacks program for the School of Bitcoin. We officially have a Stacks community now, so for Australia and New Zealand. So that's pretty exciting. That's just gone up today. So we've got a meeting for that tonight, which I'm pretty stoked about. So we'll kind of get into that. But I thought, first I might just do some intros. Again, well, Matt's probably the newest person here. Matt, do you want to intro yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Richards. I know a couple of you already. I'm in Wellington, New Zealand, and I work in education. I run my own education consultancy called Village Robot. So if you think like Village Idiot, but a robot instead, that's actually what I do. And Kieran's been trying to get me into this video chat for like the last month, and I keep missing it. And I was home today and I have zero idea about what this is about or what's going to be said. I'm sure it's going to be really weird / awesome knowing Kieran and some of the peeps I've seen here in this group. So yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Cool. Well, yeah, just to keep you in the loop, basically we do every meeting as a YouTube video, so you can go back for hours and watch everything if you feel like it. So just so you know, this is going up online. But awesome, thanks, Matt, and yeah, good to have you on board. Basically, well, to give you a quick overview, basically we're building what's called a decentralized autonomous education system, and that's essentially like a DAO. So like you probably heard the concept of a DAO before, where you can basically plug that into any educational institution, and it could be right down to one learner or an entire school. Like the network kind of doesn't care. And we had some really good progress with the curriculum design. So every Monday we're doing a curriculum design podcast as well, so you can follow along with that. Jacques, did you want to just give us an overview of Monday? Because it was really good. I thought it was a really good session.
Sure. Yeah. So on Monday, in this like the 10-step process, we were going through the high-level targets for the marketing approach. So what's the branding strategy and identity behind the School of Bitcoin? So with that, we really landed on some key terms that is going to be foundational, and as other organizations come through and really draw from and clone the original DAO, they'll be able to like inherit these values that we put into the system, and then tweak them however they'd like as they create their own personal curriculum. So after we created the brand identity last week, coming up this week, we'll be going into the actual marketing strategy. So how will we be promoting this on different forms of social media? How will we be empowering the community to really take the torch and explain what a daze is in their own way? So pretty excited to see what we do next.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Particularly the format that you've created. It's really fun going through that. So it's I look forward to the next one. And anyone else who wants to jump in on that, more than welcome as well, because it's quite exciting. So with that, we've got, I might just share my screen quickly. So can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
So this is our Stacks page for Australia. So this has gone up like last night. So it looks like we've got like some goals. I haven't really used this platform before, so Notion.so, but it looks pretty cool. So I guess we'll find out sort of tonight. So the meeting's I think at 8 o'clock Melbourne time, so whatever that works out to for everywhere else, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Anyone who can jump into that'd be great. But yeah, so that's that. So I had a bit of a think around, and Gordon, you might have some input into this. I don't know if you've had a look into it at all, but the creation of, oh, actually, before we get into that, so there's a really good podcast I was just listening to on the What Bitcoin Did, and it's a Bitcoin civilization, and that end part, he actually talks about Stacks and their company building NFTs on Stacks and doing something else with it as well. I was like, oh, that's cool. We should reach out to them and see like kind of how they've done it. So I thought that was quite interesting. So worth having a listen. Stacks Bridge I came across. I don't know if anyone else has seen this. Jacques, have you seen anything to do with these guys?
No, I haven't.
So basically, just reading about it, basically it lets you mint NFTs on Stacks and put them on OpenSea. So it's like people have already started doing that. So I thought that might be a good way for us to jump off with the certifications. So if anyone doesn't know, like we're looking at doing the certs for the School of Bitcoin as NFTs that are like optionable for people, for learners to actually purchase them from the days basically. So akin to like a MOOC where you run through the MOOC, end of it, you know, you've got your certification. You can choose to buy it or not, doesn't matter. But yeah, we sort of make it an option. So I'm thinking this is probably the way the platform to do that on. So we might have a play with that once we actually get some stacks in. I found this as well. So I was thinking about the pool creation. So the pool creation is probably looking at it, it looks pretty like a big task. You need like a lot of Stacks tokens. These guys have actually got like an app and everything already built out. And this is quite interesting. It looks like you can authenticate to other apps built on Stacks, like using their app. So I thought,
yeah, at the minute, Spurs is actually the one that I think we'd have to be using, because to run our own stacking pool, we'd need at least 100,000 stacks.
yeah, I was reading that. I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe, I don't know, what do you reckon, Gordon? Is it probably the best way to sort of partner with these guys and say, look, we'll build on this first, and then maybe down the track look at doing our own pool?
Yeah, I haven't sort of, I really got to about that surface level where you are there about what the different options were. But then once we started to create a community, the idea behind the community is that we'd all stack stacks and income generated from the stacks.
Yeah,
Bitcoin that would be generated from stacks come back to build the community.
that's right.
So yeah, that's just some sort of setup there so that we can, yeah, how we form that to contribute, all to be able to contribute. Haven't worked that out yet.
Well, I was thinking we could do from say this app, so Xverse, to a multi-sig that we sort of control, and then put the stacks into that pool, like whatever we allocate into it, and that generates yield, and then we can, you know, fund the student projects off that to begin with, or learner projects off that to begin with.
Yeah, sounds good. I think that's definitely the one to look at.
Looks like the logical way to go. All right, so we might have a play with that. Those two today before the meeting tonight, sort of thing. And then yeah, I found this as well. So did your stacks actually come through in the end, Gordon, or are they still?
I've still got mine on Binance. Electra got hers off Binance. Did you get? Yeah, our transactions were cancelled, so I'll have another go. It was just down for a little bit.
Mine just never came through. So some are like Lightning transactions, and that was it.
Oh yes. Oh, so you've not got any stacks?
No, it just didn't work. So I'm like, okay, great. There's $50 gone, but whatever. But I might try this today as well. So this looks like a bit better than that one I was using. It looks like it's on chain as well. So I might do that, set this up, and then have a play with the Stacks Bridge. And then we have a bit of an idea of what we can actually build out for the days and for the learners. And that was the other thing. So I was looking like one of the main task that we have as a community is basically to increase the amount of Hiro wallets. That's like number one. So I was thinking, do we allocate a certain amount of the grant just to giving to learners rather than getting them to, you know, and that way they can play and like mint their own NFTs and that sort of thing. Do you reckon that might be the best way to go in terms of like a portion of the funds?
Yeah, I think it's always a question. That's a question about, what gets allocated back. Our grant have a bounty system, so they have to do activities to earn, do certain things, do some sort of course to, and at the end they download a wallet, and when they get their wallet, they get a bounty back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was thinking. So we build out the first part of the curriculum, and then whoever goes through that gets the Stacks tokens to then go and mint their own NFTs or their certs or whatever. So they kind of get, I guess, grandfathered into the system just through doing that, and then they can follow along with the different parts of the curriculum.
And part of that curriculum is downloading a Hiro wallet.
Yeah.
So part of those activities.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way to go. All right, well, we can ask tonight and see like what the other communities are doing as well. But I think like in my mind, that's kind of like the probably the logical sort of path for that.
A lot of the communities spend a fair bit of Stacks holding meetups. I look at that. Well, community building like this, you've got to basically, it's the people out there that are on the ground doing the work. To a degree, you're doing it for free. And, the idea is to get as many wallets going, Stacks in people's wallets, and then out of that, identifying people that would want to learn to do development work on Stacks.
Yeah, exactly. I think it seems logical to me. So I guess, on that, has there been any like updates regarding, is Electro coming in this morning or can't make it?
Unfortunately, she couldn't make it this morning.
All good. Any updates on like legal and accounting and any of that sort of thing?
So we have gone through a number of different, Electra's put together a paper in the, I'll just have to share that, as to the different legal structures. I just have to grab that up. If you can just give me a minute and I'll find that and share that.
Yeah, sure thing. And then, we were going to go through a user journey with Jeremy. He's volunteered to lead that, so I'm pretty excited about that.
All right, it's my turn. Just before we go into that, just a general question: what's between now and a prototype? Like, do you have any idea what the prototype of this whole thing looks like yet, or?
So we've got build out on GitHub at the moment. So I think that's basically the place to get started. And I think kind of twofold. We want the learners to get an understanding of how GitHub works, to be able to like fork and build their own DAOs from that. So I think that's kind of number one. But I think even before that, probably just a simple curriculum to run through specifically for the Stacks programs, probably off the bat, but probably open to any platform we can use aside from that, just to sort of jump things off, because I know there's a lot of like MOOC style programs and software you can use that are sort of good to go out there. So maybe we build out on something like that, maybe Canvas or something like that. So
when you say you're developing like a curriculum on GitHub and you're going to get students to fork it and stuff, what is like the objective of the student? That curriculum, is it just a template and then they're going to put up kind of their own, what they've learned and stuff like that? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So we wanted to, so like the core curriculum is like financial literacy. Then what have you learned from that? Yeah. As part of that, create your own DAO for whatever it is. So you've gone through it, Jeremy, and you've got like, oh, this is really cool. I've got a cool idea to build a video game that teaches you how to mine Bitcoin. And you're like, how do we do that? Which is already done, which is really awesome. But basically, you go through that, you create a DAO based on how we've constructed the days, and then, all right, cool. Now I want to submit this to the community. Then we can potentially fund that. So say you're a student in high school, or it could be anybody really, and you're like, I got this really cool idea, I want to try and build it out. That's part of the curriculum. So you're actually forking it and learning as you're going, sort of thing, if that makes sense.
Okay. It's a pretty different way of learning, so I
Yeah.
still think I need to wrap my head around it a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting. I think it's really mostly Jacques' idea for that. I think he kind of knocked it out of the park, thinking about like how do you construct a DAO, and there's no real set way yet, right? So we're still kind of
Yeah.
like figuring it out ourselves. Why not document that whole process and let anybody construct their own from that as part of the learning process as well? Makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so so the first thing is they pull up GitHub, they find the base curriculum that they start off with, and then do they navigate all the courses and curriculums on GitHub itself, or is there like how do they find like if let's say there are like 10 or 20 different courses that people have made?
Yeah, we've got.
How do they jump from?
Hang on, let's go.
Yeah, I think I can jump in there too. I think even with GitHub, it really is meant to be more like the repository, like GitHub repository. But within the curriculum portion, I mean, until things are really set, you could go through a course on YouTube, or you can go through a course on, I don't know, any other MOOC platform. And really GitHub is just a place to wrap your entire project in one place. So if you're building out, say, part of your curriculum, you're going through a course on YouTube, but you can also capture within GitHub that you're building out a Bitcoin node with a Raspberry Pi. So it's a way to capture how you're engaging with your community. It's a way to capture exactly what you're learning from your chosen curriculum. And then it's just a way to really to bundle it up in one place.
Okay, so is it kind of like there seems to be an assumption that you're also going to build something or write down your own curriculum while you're learning. So it's not just learning from other people's curriculums, like you're expected to also, build something. Is that correct? Or
So twofold. I think the first part, so the didactic part is what we've been building out on. I don't know if you can see that on this spreadsheet. This is all Jill's work, really. Like she's really put in some great work here. So we've been refining this, bringing it back. So I think what we're talking about for the initial part with this whole Stacks grant and everything is building out really didactic infrastructure for that. Second part is actually building out your own DAO. So the I guess self-directed learning part is I want to create this thing. I've got this knowledge now. Now I want to build out whatever it is that I want to do with the knowledge that I've sort of learned through that. Does that make sense?
hopefully in time. So like, will there be any kind of like assessments or tests? Like, is that set by the curriculum, or is there kind of like a overall kind of like you can pass this particular curriculum and say that, you know, I've done, etc.
Yeah, to begin with. And I think the end goal, I want it to be consensus driven content. So whatever we build out with this, what we've written down, like with this spreadsheet, we're building it out sort of slowly. We want learners at the end to be able to say, that was all crap. I want my input into what this is. Like, why do we have to learn this? This isn't this. And then a consensus around whether that's important enough, like to incorporate in. So that includes like legacy finance, blockchain, Bitcoin, DeFi, whatever, and have anybody be able to actually write out curriculum to embed into that as well. So the core part is that curriculum that really gets harder and harder the more people are involved with it. And that's like the difficulty rate. So what we're kicking off with is probably something quite simple to onboard people into Stacks, because that's like what we're building off, but it could expand into anything else sort of thing. And I think that's sort of the key. So as part of actually doing that, so actually I'll bring up the map. Hang on, it's probably the best thing to speak to. Thanks for the intro to Miro, Karen. Been really good.
Yeah, I'm finding I'm using it more and more now.
Yeah, it's really good. It lets me sign in.
While you're looking for it, can I just add something that to think about the curriculum? We don't know who the people who are going to join are, what experience they have, what do they know about any of these things? And perhaps one way of doing it is introducing some strategies that, they're called thinking routines. And one might be, instead of saying we're going to be using DAO, and what you're assuming people know even what that is, will everybody? And could it be something like, what do you think you know about DAO? And that's much more going to ask for an answer, because what you think you know means you're not certain about it, but you're wondering about it. So it can really give you an idea of where people at. And this thinking routine is think, puzzle, explore. What do you think you know about DAO or cryptocurrency or anything at all? What puzzles you? What questions have you got about it? What would you like to explore further about it? And that can sort of give you a real idea of who am I working with here? How can we develop it? And I've got a whole lot of different strategies from Harvard and from Edward de Bono that I think that you could sort of build in that can really help people understand, well, what are the other people's viewpoints about this? And some of these could be very valuable for marketing too. And there's a whole lot of different routines, thinking routines and de Bono structures that I use all the time that I'm very happy to talk about, with different people about different ways that they could be used or could be used. I'm not saying they have to be, but I found it gives us a wonderful way of helping to think, well, what are people thinking and how can we help them go further or deeper into what this is all about?
100%. Well, yeah, actually, if you've got time on next Monday, it'd be really good for you to jump into the curriculum design as well as we sort of go through that. I think that'd be really helpful. So I think we'll probably look at like building out this bit entry program, but maybe incorporate some of that stuff as well.
Yes,
that'd be really cool.
And that's what made me sort of think about it when I'm saying what is. Well, trying to think about, well, okay, you know what it is, but what do they know about it? And how can we find out more about it? And
sorry to just jump in. Karen, what you've just said actually touches on what I've been wanting to ask for the last sort of 15 minutes. And sorry, this is such a noob question, being the token Kiwi in the group. Am I the only Kiwi in this group?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Awesome. Hello. I'm glad I just assumed.
I was actually born in Wellington. My parents are
right. Awesome. Yeah. Well met, Jeremy. Here's my question. Is this all asynchronous learning? Like, is this basically a big repository of knowledge that people using like a pedagogical approach to learning just go, I want to do this, and then they get some form of an exam at the end? The engagement between learner and content, so that, like, what Karen said, we know who they are and where they want to go, but also to increase that sort of connectivist model of learning, so that we're all learning from each other rather than just from a textbook, be it a digital textbook, but it's still just a textbook.
100%. So the goal really is to encourage self-directed learning and problem-based learning. So, like, essentially the only didactic thing we want is financial literacy, because that means so much to so many different people. And there's no consensus over it at the moment. So that's why that is like the piece that kind of has to be thought of as, something that you're sort of getting as close to truth as possible. So you'll never get to 100% truth, but you want to get, 99% as much as you can. But from there, it's like, all right, now I know kind of what money is, where it comes from, how it works, how money of the future is going to work. Cool. All right, now I've got a responsibility. I want to, basically, you ask the question, what problem do you want to solve now that you have that knowledge? And a lot of schools are like, so project-based learning, it's like that piece is already there. It's just the piece beforehand that nobody has, if that makes sense.
So it is a platform for collaboration as well, rather than just serving content. Yeah.
100%. So we want to build a community around that, and actually, so the big example that we were using last week or the week before. There's a guy, this guy here, I don't know if you can see that. So this dude in Amsterdam is a young kid who's now homeless. So he got into crazy amount of debt, and he's like hiding in the airport so he can kind of like blend in or whatever. And he's got like a phone, and he's just been like, if someone just in the airport, some girl came up and gave him some Satoshis like on his phone, and then he started like researching it, writing about it, got an article up on Bitcoin Magazine, and basically if people have reached out to him. So I sent him some sats, whatever. That's great. You can send him some money and maybe he'll eat for a day. But what if he actually ran through the course? So this we're building out here. He's like, oh, now I've got an understanding. Cool. What problem do I want to solve? Probably for him, it's homelessness, right? So this guy on the other side of the world, we could actually put that through to the DAO, so the EDU community, which is us, to vote on the funds that have been allocated through this NFT program to actually pay on the Lightning Network to fund a project for him to do, say, like homeless outreach. So that's just one example. You could have an entire school. So like Peter Hutton at the moment, he's looking at building a new school. So for him, he could actually run through the aspect of the financial literacy course, but also what we're building out in terms of creating your own DAO, and fork that, create his own DAO. We could potentially fund that, or he can fund the stuff for the rest of the days. ANZ community, so what we're building out for that. So Australia, New Zealand Stacks community, that'll be a sub DAO of the whole overarching days. And then there was a card game. So one of the people that's actually helping write the curriculum for this, she had a really cool idea to create a card game for schools. So with, basically like Trivial Pursuit, but for financial literacy. Like, oh, that's brilliant. So that could be a project that we fund as well. So it's looking to actually support learners that need, that have really cool ideas and concepts and no sort of support behind that, but then not just financially support it, also have a community that can help build things or whatever. And that's basically what GitHub is already, right? Like you have all these people with all different skills all coming together to build things in an open source manner. We want to do that, but for education specifically. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. So I similar to what Jeremy was asking before, what the UI or the learner experience, I think is something that's really interesting. An example is I've just jumped on board this new prototype thing they're doing here in New Zealand called Journey, and it's run by NetNZ, and they've been connecting learners and schools around New Zealand for 20 years. Basically kids in remote little country areas that can't do, say, a philosophy, right? And so they'll be in a Zoom call with a teacher in another school in another place. But the UI is really nice and easy. And it's like, I want to do this, I want to learn this way. But I suppose the other question I had was, as these learners are engaging with this content or curriculum and they get stuck, how do they talk to others? So how do they, is it all asynchronous like text?
I think that's where I can jump in. So all the questions that I was asking before about student journey, they weren't really random. It was just me trying to understand how someone who's completely new interacts with the system, how they get through and achieve goals, and kind of what they do. Because so what I wanted to talk about was gamifying that journey in order to make it a little bit easier to navigate. So for people who don't know what gamification is, it's basically taking the fundamental game design elements like point scoring, leveling up, quests, competition, rules of play, and stuff like that, and applying it to a system or a process. So in the case of like School of Bitcoin, it can be used to like guide the learning process in a way. It can also be used to like indicate competency or seniority of a student, or help set goals, or encourage positive social behavior and stuff like that. That's why, yeah, I'm just trying to like figure out, okay, in order to gamify the process, you need to figure out what the process looks like in the first place. But the way that I want to think about it is like School of Bitcoin is kind of, it's like an RPG, right? It's like a role-playing game. And you have these quests. So the first one might be, okay, go over this basic curriculum, like your main quest line, right? And after you've learned that, where do you go from there? So it's like, okay, there could be a series of link quests. Okay, if you want to learn about this particular part of the financial system, do this. If you want to learn about tax, if you want to learn about budgeting, then you can go down all these kind of different paths, and it kind of turns into a game, right? So, okay, well, what am I going to learn next? So over time, as a student learns more and goes through more curriculums, they would have completed quests, they get like experience points, and they kind of level up. And that's really useful for other students to see, because they can look at, for example, a student's profile and go, hey, look, you're like a level 10 tax person or whatever. You've done all the tax courses and you know a lot about it. Maybe I could ask this person about this particular thing I'm struggling with. So there could be like specific attributes and levels like that, or there could be like a general player level as well to see how much a particular student is like engaged with the School of Bitcoin in general.
Well, you could be tracking eyeballs and engagement, see where they're looking on the screen. Is this what we're talking about? Are we talking about an automated assessment for learning system? Is this what this is? Like I'm 100% with the gamification and micro credentials, and you could even make those whatever you want, tokens that have real value in different ways.
NFT.
But I'm just sorry I keep asking these new questions, but is that what you're talking about with the gamification, that this is humans aren't part of this learning process? It's learners coming in, getting assessed by whatever you want to set up in the code to do that. And then that prompts, the next step in learning, which is awesome, by the way. I think that's like amazing. I'm just at the moment in New Zealand, there's some of the most recent research is showing that engagement with others is like crucial at the moment for learning, right? And so everyone's isolated in their little boxes with their screens like we are right now, right? And so is that part of your model? Is there a way that people can connect like in real time, or is it all asynchronous? Like, and either way is good. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just interested.
I'll say yes. So we wanted to, at some stage on the roadmap, introduce a virtual space, so using Mozilla Hubs as a virtual classroom. So yeah, like having interaction. But I think like the physical space is kind of being, like, look at this, like we're all in different countries and different, like all over the place, right? But we get to connect and build things together. So why not have that for learners as well?
Yeah, totally. I think it's really important. Like I'm beaming into about 12 different schools around New Zealand at the moment. And one of the first things I have to assess when I talk to them is how they're going. It's like, how are you guys? How's your hauora? Like there's a 4 walls model of Maori health here in New Zealand. It's called the Te Whare Tapawha, and each wall's like spiritual well-being, physical well-being, family well-being. These are all really important things. And I'm sure that you're all experiencing that in your own ways at the moment. I'm just wondering, I'm sorry I'm throwing this curveball at you, but
no, go for it.
Where's the human element of this, like in your learning system? How do people, and it sounds friggin' amazing, and being able to collaborate to solve problems is like next level bazinga, right?
Yeah, that is.
What's the platform to do that? I just want to know, like I want it to be built now. So just show me what it looks like immediately, because I think it's kind of crucial. And just like you're like getting crazy about Miro, which is a rad tool, by the way, as well. And there's a new thing I found today, a new screencast thing that you guys, Loom. Have you guys tried Loom?
Loom's cool,
Yeah, that's pretty rad. So like little tools like that, awesome, right? But what we're doing now, spitballing and just this incidental learning that's happening right now, like I've just learned a billion things in the last half an hour.
Me too.
Is that part of the model? Is that like enabling that, non-scripted, organic light bulbs?
For sure, for sure. Well, I mean, that's why we're doing everything transparently. So all our mistakes, like everything, just put it out there so people can learn from it and copy it, right? And then, or fork it and make their own version. So if someone can come along, we're going to do everything completely open source. Someone comes along and says, we can make the School of Bitcoin a better, number two, a better one. Go for it.
So
Whenever
in your,
Learning from one another too. We're all learning from each other. We've all got different experiences, and hey, we all make mistakes, but that's another way of learning.
well,
right.
I actually think that's the most important way of learning, and it's
Yeah.
by actually reflecting on our mistakes that we really excel. And so I'm hoping that's part of this model as well, and it's not just a binary, you know,
For sure.
right or wrong. But yeah, I think that's kind of important, is how do we talk to each other, and how does this, like, actually, I suppose if it's truly autonomous and decentralized, then you don't even need to specify breakout rooms or platforms or apps. They can even just do whatever they wanted.
Yep.
But that does rely on a certain level of motivation and prior knowledge. Do you know what I mean? To achieve that. So are you guys pitching this at everyone? Like there's no age level? Yeah.
Yep. So if you think about like Linux, so Linux distros, right? You've got ones that are awesome, like Ubuntu, that anyone can use, and then you've got ones that are written by 10-year-olds that are rubbish, but it's still cool, right? So the idea is anyone who's interested can fork what we're doing and build their own thing. So it's not mandated. It's not like you have to do this before you do that. It's cool, like jump in and you can build whatever you want and be as creative as you want. So I think anyone could fork this, build their own DAO of what we're constructing, and you'll probably get 1 million, and maybe 10 are good.
So you kind of have to build your own direction into your curriculum then.
Yeah.
So it could just be knowledge, like a wiki page, or it could actually be, hey, here are some, here's a bit of knowledge, and here's a problem. Let's work through this problem and then build up from there. So it really depends on who's writing it. So,
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, I think, and like going back to what you were saying before, Jeremy, so like an interface, I suppose, like for the didactic part, for the financial literacy part, something I was kind of envisioning, like initially something like crypto zombies. So you probably played that, like the Ethereum based one. It's really cool. So basically,
No, I haven't.
you'll dig it probably more so than anyone.
Yeah.
But it basically runs you through like Solidity. So you learn like the language of Solidity, but basically through killing zombies. So it's like a game to sort of run you through that. So it's good fun. So like something like that, like the gamification aspect would be really cool. Kids loved it. Like I think that's something important to bring to this. But for the overarching like goal, I think it's to create an ecosystem of learners. So it's not predicated on one part of that. It's like let's sort of, it's building blocks to build the whole thing.
So if just going back to what Matt said, then if it's a whole bunch of learners trying to learn things together, then you have to supply a way of everyone communicating with each other, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's like a chat room or conference calls that you can just jump into.
Yeah, so we've been going back and forth on that. So I think there's a few tools that we like. I think GitHub, like as a communication tool, makes a lot of sense because you get to learn how basically code works while you're running through whatever you're building. But in terms of like a real-time communication tool, yeah, that's something that we probably need to think about. Initially, I was thinking something like Keybase, because Keybase gives you basically you can auth like who people are. And I think that's important, like in an education space. But then for the ANZ community, we're looking at Session, which does the complete inverse of that, which is a fantastic tool. And yeah, then what I really love and what I'd love to incorporate is A-Frame. So like Mozilla Hubs, like building a space where you're actually coming together. It's instead of just doing a video conference, it's like a space with an avatar and you can move around, and it's not and what I love about that, it's not predicated on like high-end hardware like a VR headset. It's a cheap Chromebook or a phone or a computer or whatever it is, and you're still sort of collaborating in a space. So I think that's definitely on the roadmap. Just whatever we build out for that, I think.
So
I wonder
I think it's probably a bit too early to even talk about gamification yet.
Could be. Yeah, could be. but
I think gamification is basically, I think it's important to have that in early. I think
Yeah.
that'd be good for you to have a chat with the curriculum team.
Okay.
Gives some inspiration. I mean, the way these social communities are being built out, I don't understand everything in the social token world, but that I've earned something that I can then trade with somebody else. So,
Yeah.
you know, as you go along, you've got something that you can engage someone else in the community. But you've got to maybe trade some tokens for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think perhaps maybe I just need to understand a little bit more of the structure of how everything works, going back to
Yeah.
that diagram that you were showing before.
Well, I think
Yeah.
maybe
And
like
if we can walk through, I mean, even like, I guess we have a user journey that we're going through right now, us creating the DAO. And maybe if there was a way I can start writing out some of like the actual step-by-step process. And then if we can add some rules to that, and I mean, I would essentially lay it out like just regular documentation, Jeremy, and then potentially that would help clarify how that could be gamified in some way. And maybe if you look at it, you'll say, yeah, this definitely can't be right now, but I think there might be some ways to draw it out. But yeah, I completely understand that from what you've gathered in these meetings, it would be hard to really get complete clarity from it. So I think that might help if I do that.
we could do something like very simple to begin with. So like what we were saying around like what we're calling the bit entry program for the moment, building that out in some sort of gamification aspect. So it's like a fun thing that learners can jump into, earn some stacks tokens from doing that, and that's the like initial part, like a jump off point. So maybe we do that.
What's standing between now and like a working prototype of how everything looks, or an MVP of how everything looks? Can we get some, like, what bits are missing for us to create like an example, and then being able to step through that entire process as like a student, from a student's point of view?
Yeah, okay. So we probably need to think of, well, in terms of like a gamification aspect, like is there a tool that's already built out that you know of that we could utilize to actually plug in like, you know, questions and answers and that sort of thing, that we could maybe even modify so it works with stacks?
I'm not aware of off-the-shelf stuff yet. I'll have a look and get back to you.
That might be the best jump off point, but maybe if you're free on the Monday, maybe to jump into the curriculum design, maybe we go into a bit of that, because I think Jill will have some really good input into that as well. And maybe we come up with a really sort of straightforward way that a learner can step through the first part of the course, earn their stacks tokens, and that's like the first jump off point that we build for everything else. So I think really it's looking at something maybe off the shelf that we build first, then migrate to something that we actually design ourselves. And I'm pretty sure the stacks team will be behind that. So yeah, well, I mean, we'll find out tonight like what our goals are for Q2 or whatever it is. But if we can kind of build to that, I suppose, first, because that's who's sort of funding the project. But they've got like other grant applications that we can apply for as well. So like not just community, but actually development as well. So I reckon that'd be really key.
Have any of you heard of the cash flow board game? It was
Sounds
developed a while ago
familiar.
by Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and just a while ago. But now it's on iPad and Android, and it's been described as Monopoly on steroids. That's and one of Kiyosaki's quotes about money is money, fake teachers. Teachers don't know anything about money. Bloody right there, as a teacher talking.
Well, that's what we want to change, right?
Absolutely. I've done a bit of research on what's out there already on financial literacy.
Oh, awesome.
And Kieran, I told you it's a little bit about Scott Pape's money movement happening in Australia, and it's a TV series. and on Foxtail Lifestyle, and Scott Pape's written Barefoot Investor, a lot of good things like that. And his aim is to help kids understand more about money. And he has a jam jar project where you have 3 jam jars, smile, splurge, and give. And interesting. And for him, it was, there's 10 schools in the pilot across Australia, and it started, and his idea is to start a revolution that will change a nation's money habits. The revolution starts with kids. Aussie kids spend over 2,000 days at school, yet not one of those days is dedicated to teaching essential money skills they'll be tested on in life.
Yeah.
And what inspired him was seeing the success of financial literacy program in Brazil. And I've watched on videos a little bit about that. Another thing is the Smith family. For those of you who don't know, Smith family is an organization that helps vulnerable kids, whether they're homeless, whether they're in really difficult situations, all sorts of things. And they have financial programs, and in their financial programs, financial literacy is defined as the ability to make informed judgments and effective decisions about the use and management of money. Research has shown that people with limited understanding about money matters are more likely to have lower education levels, be unemployed, receive lower incomes, and have minimal savings. And a project called Money Minded was developed by ANZ. And that's interesting to know that what's happening with ANZ in connection. Money Minded is a financial education program to help people make informed decisions about the use and management of their money. More than 200,000 people have participated in the program, with thousands of facilitators trained to help with its delivery. This places Money Minded as the most widely used resource for helping to build financial capability in Australia. Workshops are usually held weekly over 4 to 5 sessions, with sessions lasting about 2 hours. Trained facilitators deliver each session, which can be customized from 20 possible modules to meet the needs of participants. ANZ developed Money Minded in 2002 in partnership with community organisations and education experts, including the Australian Financial Counselling and Credit Reform Association. The Smith family is one of many community organisations who are delivering the program, and the Smith family runs the Money Minded program as part of its suite of programs. Money Talks is a short course focusing on the essentials of money management and developing skills to achieve financial goals. Students have the option of submitting assessment. Now, this is interesting, the word assessment, because that's a really touch point that we've got to look at very carefully.
Yeah.
Assessments and gaining their certificate in basic financial literacy, which is a nationally recognised recognition. Another one, last one, I'll stop. Savers Plus, join Australia's longest running financial education and match savers program, build financial skills, develop lifelong saving habits, and receive up to $500 to assist with education costs. I can send that to you.
Yeah, no, do if you
Yeah, that would be great, Karen. It's sort of like there's a lot of issue, a lot of conversations coming in there about the current legacy system. So all of these programs, I'm learning that dealing with the project we're doing in Gladstone here, is that the legacy system's all there and there's lots of learning there, but it's like the decentralized system is offering a whole new world of finance. And I think, is that really what the School of Bitcoin's mainly like got to focus to get an understanding of that system?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like for
getting the understanding of everyone, like we're starting this project up in Gladstone here, and everyone's going, oh, great, we've got to raise all this money. And I'm going, no, you've got to first of all understand Bitcoin before you even start. Otherwise, you're just going to build another legacy system.
Yeah.
And that's going to rely on debt and government funding. We need to look at the new models for financial security and financial success. And it's got to come back to Bitcoin. And that's sort of like for me, that's one of the most important parts of the project, is understanding the new types of finances that are available that are not debt-based.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and I think like for our resources page, all that stuff that you just read out, Karen, would be really useful in including in that specifically, because I think
so getting that what is the current and what is going on, because the Barefoot Investor guy and all those people you mentioned doing incredible things, But it's the same old story. Okay, well, how to create a savings plan? A savings plan what? Into a debt-based bank?
Yeah. Well, that actually,
a kid, it's impossible for a kid to get ahead. So we've got to make sure that they actually are investing into assets which are going to grow. You know, not because most of the kids just start off with a savings account. Their grandmother gives them $1,000, and their mother gives them $1,000, and all their pocket money goes in. And unless they invested it into a entrepreneurial business, like bought a lawnmower to mow more lawns, or did something with it, they get to the end of their 18 and they've got $5,000 and it's not worth anything. So it's going to be important that how would a kid get actual investments growing with every part of their step of their journey from age 5 right through, not just putting it into the bank. So I'd be interested to see what they're doing with the kids and how they're suggesting. Are they just educating, or they're actually giving them tools to invest?
I've watched the Scott Capes series on TV, and it's really with kids doing things. And there's one of the sessions, there's a kid with a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
And why and how, and what he does with the money that he gets from it.
Awesome. So entrepreneurial skills, that's excellent.
Yeah. Also, there's so many different parts of that story, and Scott Cape is regarded very highly for his work otherwise.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That'd be great to get all those links and have a look through.
I think Peter and Michelle wanted to say something. Go for it, guys. But you're muted. I think you're muted.
I'm mute, Peter.
Can't hear you. Can't hear. Can't hear. While you guys are fixing that, I think you. Yep, got you now.
Got you now, Peter.
I'll start again, yeah. So, I've been absorbing everything. There's a lot of information, obviously, that's been discussed in our last meeting 2 weeks ago as well. A lot. I did a bit of reading and then spent last week doing a bit of background thinking. I still have questions, though, about what is the Bitcoin school, the School of Bitcoin, really trying to solve here. And as I've been listening to all this, I get some mixed signals. It's probably my confusion. I think it's clearer in your minds, at least the core theme of what's been happening because of your background. But both as an educator and as a learner myself, I'm still having questions. So for example, I'll tell you what I feel that is going on, and you can take that as input as well. Yeah. So I have the feeling that the School of Bitcoin has a core aim, which is to perhaps promote financial literacy. That's what you have been talking about in the last few minutes, which makes sense. I also get the feeling that the School of Bitcoin is trying to build some kind of infrastructure based on DAOs. There's a cryptocurrency as well, which I feel it's meant to reward learners for completing certain learning tasks. I think these two things could be complementing each other. For example, you can use the aim of providing some tools for financial literacy running on the DAO system that you are also building, and that could be the Kickstarter of the project, and then other curricula can land on the same system. So there's a bit of confusion in my mind there, but I guess the fundamental question that I have is, what is the problem that the School of Bitcoin is trying to solve? Because, for example, if you want to do your part in helping kids become financially literate, then I guess you could write a book, or you could record a video course and put it on YouTube for free. Like, you could do that now. That's why I have the feeling that you actually want to go deeper than that. So you probably want to build some kind of infrastructure. That's why. And the financial literacy is just, I guess, the first curricula that you could put on that system. So I've got more questions here, but those are the questions don't really make sense until I understand what is the objective here. What is it that you're trying to solve? So now, speaking as a teacher, I see what the education ecosystem is like and the tools that are being used, the objectives of the teachers and the learners themselves. As a learner, for example, I'm interested in learning something because I have an interest in the thing that I want to learn. I don't care about earning stack coins, for example, unless the stack coins are some kind of, I can use them as some kind of, not reward, but certificate, maybe.
Yep.
Like that's where I think the smart contracts can come in. So just to finish here, because I've got 3 minutes before I have to go.
No.
Can we focus on what it is that it's trying to solve?
Yep.
And then the rest, I guess, will fall in place. And for us, the outsiders, I'm talking about myself now. I'm looking at this from the outside. It can help me climatize and get on board with what else is happening and all the technical complexities of the project.
Yeah. So not just kids. It's learners, so anyone can be a learner. We're all learners, right? So it's not discriminatory against age or whoever wants to learn, and it's not mandatory. So it's anyone who wants to be involved. Cool. But financial illiteracy, that's what we're aiming to solve. That's the main problem, because we're all financially illiterate because nobody bothered to ever teach us. So that's the
not in the school curriculum.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Not at all. You go through primary school, high school, higher ed. Nobody ever bothers to teach you what money is or where it comes from, even if you do like an accounting degree, which is ridiculous. So that's the goal. That's the only goal, the overarching goal for it. From there, we can scaffold out like all these other cool projects and things that people can build and DAOs and everything. But that's the main goal. And I think, yeah, you could do a YouTube video for that. Or, just write a book and put it out there. But because there's no consensus over the legacy finance or even, future thinking finance with all the different DeFi networks and blockchains and all the stuff that's out there, that's what we want to get. So consensus over financial literacy. So starting small, like with a small, what we think is important sort of as a group, and then building out from there and being inclusive.
Okay. I understand. So maybe to me, what makes sense if the financial illiteracy is the problem that we are trying to solve, then would it make sense to try and create a curriculum that combines those elements that we spoke about, different perspectives, for example, gamification, rewards through earning, currency or cryptocurrency, a mechanism, I guess, for evolving the curriculum over time.
Yep.
And that because that would be the thing that the learners would be coming in to learn, and then the infrastructure to do the teaching, which will be, I guess, not depending on an instructor, like a human instructor, but the system will be doing the teaching. And that could be built around it. And I think that's what the prototype that I think Jeremy was asking about earlier perhaps could give us a way forward if we now know exactly what it is we're solving. Yep.
No, you got it. Bingo.
And it doesn't need to be detailed and complete, obviously. To begin with, you need to have a starting point.
That's right.
And the rest, as it is a DAO, can evolve around that starting point. But I guess we need to start somewhere. And it could be just a single chapter. And that would give us a way to build the infrastructure around it, and then the user interface, for example, the journey of the learner. Yep, 100%.
So on the Monday curriculum design sessions, that's kind of what we're working towards. So like I think this Monday will be different because we're probably going to go through what we can build out specifically for the Stacks grant and building something to that. So Jeremy, the gamification could probably really fit in there, I think.
Okay. Because I have to go, and I'm actually interested in what's happening on Monday. Would you be able to send us an invitation? And if everything matches, I'll jump in.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that seems interesting.
One of my friends, he he was actually going to move house and move like next to Arana Park to send his kids there. And like, since the school's rubbish now, he's going to homeschool.
It's finished.
So would you mind if I put him in touch with you guys for some advice?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just put him in
definitely.
touch.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
anything.
I'll shoot through an email. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Good seeing you, Peter.
Me too.
Well, it's been a good meeting. Really good. I think.
Great, Kieran. I had one question just in regards to the different aspects of the project. Say, for example, if you're doing videos and likes, are we going to be working with, say, decentralized projects like Library, or are we going to be using YouTube's? Are we going to use as many decentralized as we can?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I've tried to do that a lot. There's actually a syncing tool you can use for LBRY. Like, so I've just been dumping these into YouTube because it's easier.
Yeah.
LBRY, you can sync up. You have to have like 300 subscribers apparently to be able to do that. But yeah, I'm all for using this.
Yeah. Because I mean, at the moment, a lot of the tech is clunky, interoperability is difficult. You have to have a bunch of wallets. It's not going to be easy for the ordinary user to access everything. And yet, if we're not building out these decentralized systems, well, they're just not going to go anywhere. It requires the users to do, to actually get in and use them. So like, we're using sessions for the chat. Well, that's going to help expand sessions and then encourage people to run nodes on Oxen and the like. So I guess somewhere in our directions of where we're going as we first go, is that a question we always raise? Okay, what could we use first that would plug in that's decentralized versus centralized? Similarly, we spoke about in funding as well, what decentralized funding options are there available versus, big corporations, grant foundations, not to get, totally radical away, to be just for the sake of being decentralized, but to help those communities grow and build. I think probably learning within Stacks as well is, with the Stacks community, I mean, there's a bunch of different projects that are going to need to be built to make the Stacks ecosystem a great system. So even within that, I find quite often that everybody's over here on Avalanche or Ethereum or here or there, and they really haven't got a grip of much of anything. Whereas when you focus on one protocol, it can help to get people integrated, building, focusing on. So maybe some of those applications we need built can be put up to the Stacks community.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, just some ideas, having some directions.
Yeah, and like we've talked about in the past, like there's other grant opportunities, like for example, Gitcoin for building out on GitHub, that sort of thing. So yeah, like I think the more decentralized applications are used, the better, really. Like for anything that we're doing, any suggestions you have, throw it out. I'm all for it. I love playing with new tech. So
and it helps also the newer people from the more legacy systems that are coming over into the decentralized and Web3 based systems, that being encouraging them to go and explore and experiment and try things out. Because I think that's part of the mission as well, is really to really get that new understanding of this new space, because it's only like say 150 million people in the space. There's it's only $1 trillion worth of value. As it becomes a $200 trillion network value system, and helping them get to understand, why we have property rights with blockchain, and get it, that it's just a totally foreign concept compared to the normal financial and money system.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's good.
Well, a lot of work to be done there, I think, for us to be able to communicate to the new people to get them to understand quickly.
What would be good as well, like sort of future thinking, is you have your financial course that we've kind of constructed together, and then you have like a group, say, I don't know, what's a group that you're working with, like LBRY, for example. They want to create their own course. They can incorporate that into our financial literacy structure. We vote that in. It gets like adopted into the system, and then from there, other people sort of learn about that. So I think that's definitely on the roadmap. I think it's really important. Sorry, Jeremy, you wrote some stuff in the chat that I missed it.
Oh, it was just I think in answer to, sorry, I forgot his name.
Peter?
Question. Yeah. So is the answer community? Because while you can put a video up on YouTube and you can write a book about financial literacy and stuff, it's really the power of the DAO is connecting the community and being able to reward behavior that community wants, which is increasing the financial literacy of everyone, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but he's not here, so
you'll watch it back later. No, I think that's a really good point, actually. Creating community around whatever you're doing, but yeah, specifically for us is financial literacy and creating a ecosystem of people to work together. 100%. I think that's on point.
Can I just say before I've got to bail, guys, this meeting was too good to go to my other meeting that started 7 minutes ago, but I just wanted to say, like, respect, this is awesome. And I've been talking to Kieran about this for feels like decades now, about this different variants of this autonomous school model. And I think it's amazing. And I'd really like to be invited to future meetings, particularly if it touches on learning theory and the less back end side and more the front end side is sort of what rings my bell at the moment. But one thing I wanted to leave with you before I go was, you guys all know why financial literacy is important, right? All of you. Most people don't. And so they're not going to want to even look for you because they don't know why, right? And so the why, which is what Peter touched on, is so important. And there's a huge why, right? You just got to put it in words that they understand. And so here in New Zealand at the moment, inflation, right? People can't eat. People can't drive their cars, right? So you're literally talking about replacing the current system with something that works, okay? And providing people with freedom to be able to survive, right? That's basically what you're doing. So I'd be putting that somewhere on my front page. You know what I mean? Like, this is why, because you can't afford that loaf of bread. And if we have a better system, you can. You know what I mean?
Really good point.
So yeah, good luck with that. And I'm seriously interested on this beyond financial literacy as well. I think it's got legs. And but I think what Jeremy said is the money, which is community, is the essence of this, because you can just make a YouTube video. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't provide the community. And I think community is power, and it gives it critical mass. And yeah, I'd love to be helping you guys with this in the future. So yeah, send me another invite, and if I'm not beaming into a school, I'll join.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, Matt. That's great.
Thanks for jumping
Thanks,
in.
guys. You're awesome. I'd look forward to meeting you again soon.
Anytime. Jump in.
Adios.
Great to meet you.
Well, we might leave it at that then, guys. This is great. I think Monday or tonight, whoever can jump in. Hopefully, Gordon, if you've got time for the meeting.
Yeah. What time is that one?
8 o'clock here, so I think 7 for you, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I'm definitely there. Yeah, I do Bitcoin 101. So getting people into Bitcoin on the Wednesday nights, but I'll be finished by then. Awesome. Just an update on the legal side too. So I looked through Electra's notes there. So she went through a bunch of different organizations. They're in the, we shared the document on the legal structure for DAOs. So everyone should have that in the School of Bitcoin docs file. But Joni Kurovich is our lawyer. She's the leading lawyer that's working with one of the leading lawyers that's working with the Senate Committee in Australia. So if we were to have the DAO based out of Australia, Joni's sort of at the forefront of this, and she's actually writing, I think it's on a voluntary basis, the proposals for the legislation and the regulations around that. And she's recommended that we have a conversation with Mark Bland from Mills Oakley. There's a bunch of different options, but I think we need to go through with them. So if it was in Australia, what the options were, and it'd be a 1 hour session, costs about $1,290 plus GST. But at the end of that, we'd come out and decide, okay, is it what is the structure? Because you've got incorporated associations, co-ops, or something else.
Okay.
And that's if it's in Australia. I think on the listening to a bunch of legal chats, about 8 hours of legal with other about DAOs, I'm hearing all these different entities and co-ops and incorporated and limited companies, and everyone's dealing with this whole, grappling with this whole, which is the best one for us. Ultimately, it comes down to limiting the liability of all the founders and the people holding the private keys. But yeah, that and these guys are really busy, and we've got blockchain week, so I'm not sure that we're going to see. We're trying to get an appointment this week, but it might be after blockchain week.
Okay, that's all right. No problems. Well, we can yeah, sort of explore those. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty.
And after tonight, having a look at what stacks and the proposal, and when we start to receive stacks as to what entity or the likes that's got to go into initially to kick things off.
I think that's,
so after tonight, we'll be much clearer on all that.
Definitely. Oh, thanks for doing all that, Gordon. That's great.
No worries. Super keen if you can send me that link to Notion, the Notion platform as well. I've seen Notion being used in some different. I did have a look at it a while ago. It might have been in the stacks. And Jarks, I also found a little tool which I did share in the what's called Keybase for putting your work out there.
Oh, that looked cool, yeah.
Putting work out that needs to be done on the DAO. So I'll just drop that in the chat there for you. So it looks like basically a workspace. So if you need some work done, you can put your stuff up and people can bid to do the work on the DAO. I had a look through there, and the Hyro wallet connects to it. So obviously Stacks or someone in Stacks is using it, which looks pretty cool.
That's perfect.
So it's like a Trello, a Web3 Trello.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You can put the work up there, and someone can bid to do the work by the looks.
Yeah. Wow. I also need to get into Keybase. That's.
Yeah, I haven't seen you over there, so
Oh,
actually got to say, are you around there?
Yeah, we should.
So one of the main one that I saw, and to sort of gave me some confidence, LexDAO, which is a legal firm that specializes in DAO, have got a page up there. So that was enough. They're sort of some of the major players. So I thought, oh, if they're in there, this platform must be all right to be using.
Yeah, seriously. I'll send some invites to all of us for Keybase again, just so Jeremy and Karen, if you want to jump in as well, more than welcome. And I think maybe we'll have that, and obviously the session group for the session, I think, for the Australian Stacks group, Keybase for the EDU community, and we'll kind of keep it separate. But yeah, this is really good. This looks awesome, Gordon. So look at it now. Very cool.
I'm having a look around all the DAOs. There was in the accounting system for DAOs. I couldn't find I have to track down the link again. To run the DAOs and all the accounting systems and pay wages and pay everyone out of these DAOs. Ethereum's obviously got it, and Gnosis wallet the Gnosis platform have the best, looks like the system for accounting for everything. So there's so much work that needs to be built out on other platforms. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. Stacks are building out some incredible stuff, but there's so much more to be built out.
Yeah, it's very cool indeed. Awesome. All right, well, let's leave it there, and we'll chat tonight and see how it all goes. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Same time next week if you can, and whoever wants to come to the curriculum design, I'll send some invites to that as well. That'll be really exciting.
Cool.
Awesome. See you guys.
Yeah.